another pastor has failed. And this time, it was me. No, it wasn't adultery. I'm not embezzling money. There's no scandal. But I did fail. The good news, though, is that my failure has a lot to teach you about finding and fulfilling your purpose and seeing God in the really hard places of life. So if you don't fail to stick around, I'll tell you about it. As the story goes, my mom walked in on me when I was 3 years old, holding a big black King James Bible and preaching to the stairs in my grandmother's apartment. By the time I was 17, in spite of all my normal teenage struggles, I knew that I wanted to be in ministry. And at 20, I was determined that I was going to do ministry full time and that through my faithfulness, God was going to provide enough for me to be able to do that while supporting my family, that ministry would be my life's work and it would take care of the bills and all the rest. And now, sitting here at 45 years old, a quarter of a century later, that dream is still not a reality. And if you weigh my goals against my current situation, I am a big old massive failure. Yes, I'm in ministry. Yes, I pastor full time, but it's still not enough just to provide the basics for my family. And so I also work another job on top of that. Failure. But every once in a while, the Lord or some people around me will remind me that maybe I'm not a failure. That even though I haven't met my goals, I'm still doing what God wants me to do. Let me give you a story to help you understand. So, back when I was in my 20s, I was working in x ray full time and doing ministry part time. And as a full time x ray tech, I was the lead tech in what's called the fluoro department. The fluoro department is the torture chamber of the x ray department. That's where we do all the terrible stuff to people, where we do barium studies, where we make people drink that thick, nasty, chalky barium while we take x rays of their stomach, or we stick a tube up their butt and pump it in the other way and take x rays while we're doing that. It's where we put needles into people's joints and inject them, or into their spinal column and inject them. Or sometimes we do bladder studies where we run a tube where there ought never to be a tube and run dye up into their bladder and take pictures. It's a stressful place. Nobody wants to be in that room. We would walk in every morning to a full outpatient schedule and then look at all of the urgent, critical inpatients that had to be done, whether there was time or room or not. There were people who were constantly upset with us. We weren't moving fast enough. They weren't comfortable. We would get yelled at and cussed at by patients and by doctors, and everybody was mad. We got peed on and pooped on and puked on and bled on. It was a high stress situation almost every day. And on one of those days, I remember I walked out to the front desk where they would check in the outpatients for us. And I still had my lead apron on, didn't even have time to take that off. I had my lead apron on. I was sweating. If I remember correctly, there was barium splashed on me. And I walked out to get some paperwork, and I asked the young lady at the desk where that paperwork was. And she looked up at me and she said, "Are you ever in a bad mood?" Well, what she didn't know was that I was in a bad mood right then. But I looked at her, um, and I guess had been smiling. But I looked at her and I said, "Yeah, yeah, I get in bad moods. But I have this conviction that every person I encounter is deeply loved by God. And so I try to treat them according to that, not according to my mood or how I feel. And she looked at me like I was some kind of alien. But the reason she looked at me like that was because that's not a normal thing. There was something in me that was coming out, something that was shining that normally didn't shine in that particular place. I was being a light in a very dark place. Here's my point for you. I know that some of you are discouraged. I know that some of you are frustrated because your 5-year plan isn't working out, because you had these goals and you haven't fulfilled them. Some of you are stuck in a job that you don't want to be in. You have this sense, you just know you could do better, but here you are stuck where you are. Some of you uh, who are stay-at-home moms, you feel like you're not contributing, and you wonder if you should be doing more. So many of you are in a place where you're just frustrated and you feel like you have no purpose. But here's what I want to tell you. No matter where you are in relation to fulfilling your goals, you have a purpose, a higher purpose. Jesus said that if you are in him, that you are the light of the world, and that your light should never be hidden, but that you should shine it to the world. The people around you should see your good deeds. They should see how different you are, so that that will point them to God. Right? We all have callings in our lives, what some people call a vocation, right? What we're good at, what we should probably go into professionally with our lives, what career and all that stuff, and all that's important. But no matter where you are or what you're doing, whether you are nailing it in that area or whether you have completely missed it, there is always a higher calling. And that calling is to be the light of the world. And what I didn't see back then in my 20s was that even though I hated where I was and woke up every day feeling like a failure because I wasn't a full time pastor, I was fulfilling a higher calling. I was being a light in a dark place, and people were actually noticing. I was fulfilling a purpose, a grand purpose, on my way toward fulfilling my specific purpose. And so I want you to be encouraged wherever you are. If you haven't fulfilled your goals, if you are still stuck in a place you don't want to be in, keep working hard. If God has put a dream in your heart, keep going toward it. I am. I'm 45 years old, and I'm still hoping that one day my efforts are going to pay off and ministry will be able to support the needs of my family, and I will realize that dream of being in ministry full time with nothing else weighing me down and taking my time. But while I'm going there and while you're going there, as you're working hard toward that, remember to shine your light bright. And as you're doing it, I don't want you. I'm here talking into this camera because I don't want you to feel like a failure. I want you to be encouraged and to know that if you are fulfilling the purpose of shining your light, of showing other people how good Jesus is, no matter where you are or how miserable you are fulfilling the greatest purpose that you could ever fulfill with your life. And you're doing well. And God is is proud of you. Your Father is proud of you, and I'm proud of you too. Keep your head up. I wish we were sitting across the table from each other with a coffee in our hands so I could look at you and tell you, keep your head up. If you are shining, you're not failing. And so I want to thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for joining me for just a few minutes of your day and week. It means so much to me. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, I would invite you to do it, to like it. And would you do me a favor? Would you, in the comments below, let me know where you are in life so that I can encourage you? If you are struggling to get to that goal, if you are frustrated where you are, can you just let me know so I can pray for you, maybe give you some extra encouragement? If you've nailed it, if you laid out your plan, you knew where God wanted you to be, you worked hard, you got there, and now you're in it, would you share that just so that others can be encouraged that, hey, it's possible? And above all, would you take a minute of your day to just share with me and everybody else how you are shining your light wherever you are? It would be a great encouragement to everybody who sees it. All right, guys. Um, I'm so glad you're with me, and thank you for letting me speak into your life, even just for a few minutes. And we'll see you next time on Puddle Road.